Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head back up the road to Aberdeen where I used to study, and we're going to revisit a brewery who probably most of you watching the channel will have heard of. So we're going to return to Brewdog, and today we're having a taste of their Pumpkin King, which was their Halloween beer of 2015. This was released a couple of months ago, I think probably in September, and this is the new version of the Pumpkinhead beer that they released the year before. So this one should be quite interesting. But as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other Brewdog reviews that I've done before. There's about 60 odd of these now, so do check them out. And there's all the usual social media things, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please follow me on there. It would be great to hear from you guys, and if you do want to see more Brewdog reviews as well as other things, do subscribe to the channel and let me know all your thoughts on the beers that I'm reviewing. Always good to hear from you guys. But anyway, to tell you about Brewdog. So Brewdog, as I've told you many a time before, is the love child of James Watt and Martin Dickey, and they were founded back in 2007 at a small brewery in the Keswick Industrial Estate in Fraserburgh in the very northeast of Scotland, right on the tip of the monster's nose, as I like to say. But more recently they've moved their main brewing operations to their new and purpose-built facility in Ellon, which is a little bit closer to the city of Aberdeen, and they're actually opening up a second brewery over in Columbus, Ohio, and they're going through the recruiting process for that now as of December 2015. You'll see this review in February of 2016 though. But these guys are known for being a very experimental brewery, and particularly for their strong beers as well. They're largely inspired by the American craft brewing renaissance, and both James Watt and Martin Dickey and also Stuart Bowman, the head brewer, says that the brewery are really kind of interested, or they were really inspired, if you like, by Stone Brewing Company from California. But these guys are also very well known for having their sort of their huge chain of brew pubs that they have now. These started in 2009 with the Home Bar in Aberdeen. They've spread throughout all the rest of the UK. They've got sites in Tokyo now, in Brazil, all throughout Europe, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Germany is going to open soon, Spain, Italy, France. They've got bars all over the place, so do keep an eye out for them, and you can get Brewdog beer fairly locally. They actually opened up a brew pub in my hometown of Stirling, actually, which was quite cool. I was just there the other day. But these guys are a largely crowd-funded brewery, and they run their Equity for Punks shareholding program, and this is how they actually fund a lot of their new brewing equipment and their new bars and things like that. So a very, very interesting business model for those of you studying business, but a very, very cool brewery. And today they are in fact the largest independently owned brewery in Scotland, and they're still expanding due to this Equity for Punks shareholding program. But there's a lot of exciting things coming from Brewdog, and they do produce some pretty awesome beers. Like some of the Paradox beers are beautiful. The Hello My Name is one of my personal favourites too, so do keep an eye on them. Go and check out the brewery website, and you can see they've got a core range of beers, their amplified series of beers, which are the stronger ABV ones, and they've got a whole host of kind of one-off brews that appear every so often. So a very good and very prolific brewery, so do go and check them out. And quite cool because they're Scottish as well, and they're very successful. So let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer now. That's your little bit about Brewdog. Just go and read about them a bit more if you are interested. But let's have a look at this beer. So this one says on the side, Pumpkin King. We're turning Halloween inside out and upside down. Breathe in the pungent and heady mix of spicy caramel aromas and brace yourself for the inevitable onslaught of drowsy, unctuous gloop that will surely follow. Nope. A cacophony of bright citrus fruit flavour ensues. This is Pumpkin King, and he's like no other pumpkin ale you'll ever meet. Spicy but zesty, intense but light, blow away the sleepy cobwebs and crank up the monster mash to 2. Put a twisted grin on your face and channel your inner weirdo. It's Halloween, but not as you know it. And this one, for some reason, says it has Norwegian markings on it, so this beer must be coming from over there. But I actually got this beer from Fountain Hall Wines in Aberdeen. They're very good now and are actually my Brewdog dealers. So as you may have guessed, this guy is a 5.4% pumpkin ale. It doesn't actually tell you what hops and malts were in this one when I went on the website. It would be really cool if they put that on the side as they do with their prototype beers, but you can see it's exactly the same artwork that was on the pumpkin heads that they released last year, and there is the standard Brewdog bottle cap on this one. There you can see the blurb that is the trademark of all the Brewdog beers, and you can see there's the little bit about the brewery as well. Usual warnings on it. It says it's best before the 4th of September 2016, so it will last in the bottle for about a year, so I'm guessing this one was released around September. So let's get this guy open and we'll get on with the tasting. So as you can see, really quite nice smoky opening there, but we'll get this out and into the glass. But as I was saying, I actually have a bit of a stockpile of Brewdog beers to work through over the next little while. The guys at Fountain Hall Wines and Spirits are my Brewdog suppliers, and every time I come back to Scotland I always have a bit of a Brewdog stockpile to work through, because you can't get some of the kind of rarer ones, if you like, in Copenhagen or in Sweden either, so it's a bit difficult for me to get a hold of these beers. But yeah, it's always cool to come back and review them, so a big thank you to the guys at Fountain Hall Wines and Spirits for keeping these beers for me. But as you can see, if I bring the light up here, you can see this beer is a nice kind of reddy orange amber colour. It is quite clear. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a level of transparency there. I'll just put the light right over it so you can see the exact colour of this beer. But very, very nice looking beer, I have to say. It is clear. Quarter finger of a frothy white head on it. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head there. But yeah, it looks very, very nice. So let's give this guy a smell and see how we get on. This is the first time I'm reviewing a pumpkin ale from Brewdog, so this should be really quite interesting. I've heard they've changed the recipe quite a bit from the pumpkin head one that they reviewed last year, or that they produced last year, sorry. But yeah, first thing you'll notice about the aroma here, it's very herbal and very spicy, which is exactly what you would expect. You can definitely get the pumpkin out of this one, but there's a good bit of clove and some cinnamon spice in this. You get the cinnamon a bit more if you sugar the beer up, and there's definitely a nice bready backbone to this beer, but there's also some earthy and kind of herbal hop character in there. Maybe a little bit of citrus too. You can pick out a bit of citrusy and grassy hop from this beer. As I said though, there's not a hop profile for this one listed on the website, which is a bit disappointing. It would have been interesting to know what they put in the beers, because usually they do tell you that on the Brewdog website, just not for this one obviously. But yeah, big bready character in this one, some nice pumpkins in there, clove spice, definitely cinnamon as well, good sort of sweet caramel backbone to the beer also, and there's maybe some kind of honey notes. There's a little bit of the sort of darker and more syrupy honey in there, but there's a bit of citrus and grassy hop there, and also some herbal and earthy character too. So it kind of has everything that you would expect of a pumpkin ale. Don't drink too many of these, but I do enjoy the ones that I've had before. So let's get stuck into this guy and see how we get on. So this is the pumpkin head from Brewdog in Ellon in Aberdeenshire, Slanshire. First thing you'll notice about this beer, and that's just on one taste, it's a lot more subtle than some of the other Brewdog beers you'll get. It's not quite as in your face. Yeah, nowhere near as hoppy as the other Brewdog beers you're going to come across. I'll point that out straight away. This is a more malt focused beer, but that's exactly what you would expect with pumpkin ales. They're more bready, they usually have that nice pumpkin infused taste in them, and you've got a lot of other spices going on there, and this one's no exception to that. But yeah, this one, I have to admit, a lot of people don't like pumpkin ales, but I actually do quite enjoy them. They remind me a little bit, it's kind of almost, to me, it seems as if they're a bit like a kind of unusual Keller beer, if you like, from Germany. I love the big sort of cellared beers that you get from Germany with these really big, slightly herbal and quite grassy hop characters, and a lot of these pumpkin beers remind me of that, but it's just a slightly different flavour that's in them. Well, yeah, as I always say, sugar the beer around your palate a little bit and just let the whole mouth adjust when you taste this beer. There's actually a lot of different kind of subtle flavour characteristics in it. As I said, not the most kind of in-your-face aroma or in-your-face flavour, if you like, that you would expect from Brewdog, but it is quite a nice beer. So yeah, in the middle of your palate, the middle of your tongue is just blanketed with this big bready character in there, and you've got a lot of kind of infused spices in there. There is a definite cinnamon character. The pumpkin and the pumpkin seed is in there. The pumpkin seed, I actually really like that kind of pumpkin bread. I've tried pumpkin bread before and I really do enjoy it. Pumpkin cake is also nice, and pumpkin pie, and you really get that in the middle of your palate, but there's some cinnamon and some clovey spices sitting in there on top of that, and it blends together. The flavour in there, I think, blends together very nice. As I said, the pumpkin beers are not to everybody's taste, but I do quite enjoy them. Yeah, there's a bit of sweet caramel there as well, just goes right down the middle of the tongue. Maybe there's a bit of biscuity character in there too. There is a definite kind of cereally flavour down the middle of the palate too, and that blends together quite well with these pumpkiny and slightly spicy characters in there too. But beyond that, in the back corners of the palate, you do have just a little bit of earthy character. It's not I was expecting it. It's saying that it had citrus in it, and I think the citrus in this is really quite subtle actually. There is a little bit of grassy hop to this around the front curve of the palate, but other than that, the hoppy characters in this beer, other than the earthiness, are actually very, very subtle. Yeah, I think it's fair to say the hoppy character in this one is quite earthy and quite herbal, and of course that suits the things going on in the malt base of this beer. And if you move from the back corners are definitely earthy, and there is a little bit of dryness there. As you move further forward, it gets a little bit smoother, and there's a bit more grassy character to it. But then again, it becomes earthy just before the very front curve of the tongue, and there is a definite herbal character underneath this too. But I'm not really getting much in the way of citrus, as it was. I'm sure it said on the label there was a bit of citrus in here, but I'm not getting much of that. Yeah, if you pay a bit of attention to the kind of oily bubble behind the front of your tongue, that's usually where your fruity characters come out, and I'm not really picking up any citrus in this one at all. Yeah, not really. I mean, to me, this is more coming out, it's more of a grassy hop with a bit of herbal and earthiness in this one. But overall, as I've said before, the pumpkin beers are not to everybody's taste. I do quite enjoy them, and I think the flavours in this blend together really quite well. This isn't your kind of regular Brewdog beer, if you like. This is one, it's a pumpkin ale that they've done, and it's not as in your face as the likes of, you know, Jackhammer or some of the stouts. It's not really like that at all. This is something a bit different, and it's one of their more kind of subtle and blended flavour beers. So if you're expecting that, it's maybe not the beer for you to try from Brewdog, if you like. You're probably better sticking to something like an IPA or a stout beer. This one is something a little bit different, but that's what makes it interesting for me to try Brewdog beers. They do things like this, and I have to admit I like pumpkin ales, but I think to get the most out of this beer, you really are going to have to quite enjoy the pumpkin ale. So just bear that in mind if you want to try this beer. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, this one, it is mid-bodied. The carbonation is quite soft. There is a good wet mouthfeel to this one as well. Just slightly oily, but more of a wet mouthfeel. It's got a good bit of malty character to it. As I said, that it's quite a spicy one. This beer has a nice big bready character, and on top of that you've got some nice, slightly drier and more spicy characteristics. Not too much in the way of sweetness in the malt base actually as the flavour progresses. In the aftertaste, it's really the bready, sort of bready, spicy characters and the pumpkin flavour that just linger there. There's a bit of the earthy hoppiness coming out too, and that's a little bit dry, but other than that, the hoppy characters of the beer are pretty smooth as well. But overall, I'd say I quite enjoyed this beer. I don't think this is to everyone's tastes, I would say. You have to like pumpkin ales probably to get the most out of this beer, and it's not the most in-your-face one that you're going to get from Brewdog. But that said, I enjoyed it, but you will probably have to like pumpkin ales to really get the most out of this beer. But yeah, it's another nice beer from Brewdog, I think. So if you get the chance, go and check it out. Pumpkin ales, as I say, are a bit of an acquired taste, but if you like them, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. But yeah, really cool to review another beer from Brewdog. It's been a bit too long for me to do these, but I've got quite a few of them coming up for you. Maybe about 10 or so I think I've got to review for you, so I hope you enjoy those. There's the IPA is Dead series, a few of the other things, Hinterland, quite a few other beers, so stay tuned for those. But this is another nice Brewdog one. If you like pumpkin ales, do go and check it out. And Brewdog are always releasing new beers, so keep an eye on their website and you will get an idea of all the things going on at Brewdog. So anyway, as always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. Do let me know where you're trying the beer as well. That's always interesting to know. But until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media things, and don't be scared to suggest new beers for me to have a look at. And I will catch you soon with the next video. And like I say, more Brewdog things coming up, so do subscribe if you're interested particularly in Brewdog beer. Slàinte just now, and I'll catch you soon.